in the city of Aarhus, we've done a whole master plan where we actually created a string of bathhouses on the waterfront where you can get a 20 square meter, essentially summer house in the city, right on the waterfront. But to avoid that it becomes privatization, everyone who buys one of these little houses had to commit to making at least 4 events per year, where it's open for people. So some people make a little gallery. Some people do little things, but then they use it as their crash pad in the city. The Church of Aarhus took 2 little houses, and when we found out that they were going to make a tiny church, we got the permission from the client to lift so it's all these pitched roofs, but of course to make it look like a church, we lifted the tip just a tiny bit, so you can see that there's probably the smallest church in Denmark on that waterfront. So I think more than anything, I think offering this kind of diversity of scale makes sense. But I think maybe one of the cities in the world that I love to visit the most is Tokyo. And I think it's interesting, 2 of the biggest cities in the world, Tokyo and Mexico City, are strangely very human scale. So of course you have skyscrapers in Tokyo, but you also have these incredibly almost like miniature neighborhoods where the streets are as wide as corridors, and also as a result you also see all this little breed of cars in Tokyo that are tiny because they're sort of designed to move around in these kind of small urban environments. And you also have it's a very three-dimensional city, so in Copenhagen, there's maybe 1 or 2 restaurants that are not on the ground floor because somehow they wouldn't work if you had to find them on an upper level. But in Tokyo, you have tiny 7-story buildings where on the 6th floor, you have a cafe where you can drink tea and pet with an owl. And you somehow need to know how to find it. And in that sense, I think what's magical about Tokyo is that you have this incredible coexistence of different worlds. And I think in that sense, I think in Tokyo you find the greatest density of completely diverse parallel worlds perfectly coexisting without any kind of translation between them, which makes it an exciting place to visit. I think one of the greatest thinkers in the world is Charles Darwin. I love Darwin so much that I named my son Darwin as a first name. And I think what's so brilliant about Darwin was that he came up with the simplest answer to the most complex question. And I think the beautiful thing about Darwin's theory of evolution is that it explains not only what goes on in the biosphere, but also what goes on in design, in architecture and industry. The way we run this studio is not that, because I work with 700 architects. So if I would have to come up with everything, I would be very busy and there would be 700 people just sitting around waiting. And that's of course not how it works. Because my job is not to come up with the best idea, although I love it when that happens, and thankfully it happens once in a while and it's a great feeling. But my job is to make sure that whoever comes up with the best idea, or wherever it comes from, that when it shows itself, that's the idea that we will pursue, and that's the idea that we will all work to make happen. So the creative moment, it doesn't really matter where the idea comes from, and it doesn't matter who came up with the idea. What matters is why you choose to pursue it. That's true in the biosphere, and it's true in almost any creative field in the world. And Darwin was capable of seeing that at a time when it felt like heresy. Like he was actually sitting on his theory for 11 years, fully formulated, but he didn't dare publish it because he felt so guilty of it because of his belief in God, that he wrote to a friend, it's so heretic that it feels almost like confessing a murder. And I think thanks to him we understand the way life works, and we also understand the way, you know, the way things take shape in nature, but also the way we give form to things in the world of design.